Welcome to The Other Side of Leadership, a series by Somi Docs that explores leadership beyond titles, roles, and traditional hierarchies. In medicine and healthcare, leadership is often defined by position, but every day there are women shaping teams, supporting colleagues, mentoring others, and creating impact in ways that may not always be visible or formally recognized. This series highlights those moments, the quiet influence, the meaningful presence, and the everyday actions that redefine what leadership truly looks like. And in this part of the series, we're also talking about the support that individuals have gone through their leadership journey. Today, I have the privilege of speaking with Dr. Dhvani Thakker, who serves as Director of Quality, Cancer, and Infusion Services, Director of Women's Medical Oncology at Mount Sinai South Nassau. What stands out most about Dr. Thakker is how she leads through care, confidence, and shared values with her community and her patients, consistently showing up in ways that impact those around her. I nominated her not only because she's a dear friend of mine and we've known each other for a very, very long time, but because she reflects the kind of leadership this series is all about, one that goes beyond titles and is felt in everyday moments. So I'm really excited for this conversation. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me, Dr. Ellis. This is such a pleasure, and it's so nice to see you.
So, Dr. Talker, can you share with me a moment where you felt like a leader and no one really formally recognized you as one?
Yes, and I think we all share those moments together in our own ways. I think we're all clinicians to begin with, right? I mean, I always saw myself as a clinician, a strong clinician and a contributor. And I never really thought I would be in a leadership position, but I think, just as a clinician, you're constantly leading these initiatives to improve patient care, improve patient experience, and a lot of these goes behind closed doors without any formal recognition. And I was already leading some of these initiatives without a formal title. And I think ultimately it was really my mentor who recognized that and encouraged me to go further into it because I think as women, we're not really thinking about leadership. We're thinking as, taking care of our patients, making sure they get the treatment that they need. We're giving them the best clinical and experience with us. But yeah, I think it was so important in that moment for me that someone else from the outside saw it and said, "You're already doing the work. Why not make it a little bit more formal?"
Yeah. And so when at that moment, can you share with me though, like what that felt like to be seen in a different way, right? To be called out as a leader, right? Like as you mentioned, as physicians, that's who we see ourselves, right? As being part of the community, as being really that caretaker for everybody else, and we never see that other side, right, of leadership. So what did that feel like for you to be sat down, walk me through what that felt like and what was the first thing you thought of when when this person said, you know what, you're already doing it. You are a leader, Dr. Tucker. Tell me about
Right.
that.
Yeah, and I think I tend to I again was questioning the whole recognition, right? Am I ready for this? Is this something I'll be able to handle and manage? Is this something I have any experience with? How am I going to do with no experience? Again, I think we really, again, maybe as women, we really don't recognize our own capabilities.
Mhm.
And I think it's so important for someone else to tell you that you are capable, you have the experience, you're already leading, and let's go further into it. So, for instance, there were certain operational quality initiatives that I was already leading. People were already coming to me with, problem solving, improving workflows, coordinating care across different teams. And it really felt one of those moments where I was told, you know what, there's no waiting. You are ready. And instead of sitting behind closed doors, let's really step into this opportunity and move forward. So it was scary and exciting at the same time. And I think, yeah, I think that that truly felt very positive from, what we're typically used to doing, which is seeing patients.
Yeah. And I think you really highlight the impact and importance of having mentorship, right? Because that was the first thing you mentioned, right? Having this mentor, having this person that you've role modeled, that you've looked up to for leadership, right? That actually saw you now and said, hey, let me take you aside and help you develop and step into that role that you've already kind of naturally stepped into. So, I think that is the impact of community and having mentorship and support, especially in female physician leadership roles, right? And having
Yeah,
that community in this, especially having a platform like this where we highlight women leaders like yourself who, will
absolutely.
inspire other
Yeah, and I
physician
have to say
leaders.
she truly encouraged me to take ownership of the initiative and really supported me through every step of the way. It wasn't, not only did she believe in my abilities, but she also gave me that confidence, to trust my own voice. And again, even the moments where I thought I was doubting myself, she walked me through it. And I think it's so important to have a mentor who gets you right. And I think it's hard to find that. But the moment you find that, I think that's where leadership begins. That's when
Yeah.
you have other leaders creating leaders, right? And I think that's exactly what I felt in the moment is it was another leader who was trying to create more leader. And I think that's what true leadership is.
Yeah. And like you said, sometimes that's hard. That's hard to tap into, right? As a female physician, I think, we are still very much a minority
Yeah.
in our profession. So, to be able to lock in and find that person, right? That female that really sees you and values your work and values you as a human being, I think is really critical for us. But I know that there may be times even in situations like yours where someone saw you, they applauded you for your work and really saw your potential, right? There are going to be moments also where you're going to meet people who may not have that same perspective as you. And so, can you talk to me about a time where you might have seen another woman step into leadership and maybe you've heard other people question her readiness, or maybe something that happened to you, right, personally that impacted you?
Yeah, no, I think to your point, I was that woman that, as I stepped into that leadership role, is when I was getting questioned of what's your role? What is it that you'll be doing? I've been told things like, we don't really understand what your role is, you know, verbatim. So I think, and I think as a leader and as a woman, I think we all have to remember not everyone's going to be supporting you. Not everyone's going to be your cheerleader or recognize the work that you do.
We'll be right back.
What if networking in healthcare actually worked the way it was supposed to? No chasing posts, no algorithms deciding what you see. We built a WhatsApp community for healthcare professionals, where conversations happen in real time and people actually respond. One of those spaces is Leadership for Women in Healthcare, and these are some of the women inside it. Beyond that, there are rooms for AI, business and medicine, non-clinical paths, students, and more. You step in where it fits, and you start connecting right away.
We're back.
I think as a leader and as a woman, I think we all have to remember not everyone's going to be supporting you. Not everyone's going to be your cheerleader or recognize the work that you do. And I don't really think we should let that discourage us from what we're doing, because ultimately, I think we all deserve to be where we are.
Yeah.
Just, and it's pretty clear, right? I'm not saying someone else doesn't, but none of us would be in this role if we didn't deserve it.
Yeah.
So to hear any negative comments about, what would you be doing?
Yeah.
I think we really, again, actions speak louder than words.
Mhm.
And yes, there have been instances where I have been called into, administrative offices about, tell us what you're going to be doing. Tell us what um, your goals are, and what is that? What do those goals really mean? What are these quality initiatives? Are you? What are they? What are they? And what are you talking about? So I think we've all been there, and I think as long as we know that we're good at what we do, which we all are, I don't think we should let that down. Bring us down. I think we really have to focus on the positive, because we all deserve to be here. And I think that's the most important. And again, is it disappointing for someone to question your role? Absolutely. Is it discouraging? A little. But I think that's also part of growing and growth as a leader, is that you keep doing what you're doing, and you're really not going to wait until you're quote unquote ready, because in your mind, you'll never be ready.
Yeah. And thank you for sharing that, because I think it's interesting, that I'm in these conversations a lot with women, is hearing quite often that we are being asked to highlight or prove our worth, right? So getting asked those questions of like, what are you doing? What does that mean exactly? And thinking about, does that happen to all women who are getting ready to step into leadership roles, or is that something that is really just siloed for females, and that doesn't happen to male physicians, right? So I think about these conversations I've been having with female physicians who are stepping into leadership roles, who are already leaders, and them sharing their experiences, that this has happened frequently, where we've had to come up with a list of our worth, and sort of like prove ourselves. And so I really, really, really love the idea of you saying that, like, look, that doesn't need to happen, right? You deserve to be here no matter what, like to have a seat in this table, right? And your thoughts and your opinions matter, right? And you don't have to have a list of things that you've done to prove that. Even if you don't have a list, like, you still are worthy to create your own list, essentially, right? So I guess what I'm asking is, like, what can you say to those people who are listening to this about the things that you've kind of shared with us already, and what kind of keeps you going when you still maybe have those moments where you're still getting pulled back into a meeting, right, or a conversation where you're like being asked, well, what do you do? Right? Like, how valuable are you to us? So, like, what helps you in those moments, right? And how can we also like get through those moments?
Yeah, no, I think we're all going to have those moments if we haven't already, as I'm sure you're very well aware.
Mhm.
And I think we really, and again, it took me a long time to learn this. We are our biggest advocate.
Mhm.
I think standing up for ourselves and standing up as leaders in what you truly believe in
Mhm.
is really what keeps us going. I don't, again, yes, there will be days when you're discouraged by words that are not very kind, but you really just have to keep stepping forward and moving forward. And bring people together and take that responsibility when something truly matters to you. And I think that's why we're all here, right? We all, I think, truly love what we do. And I, I think ultimately we trust ourselves in doing what we do, and we have to keep standing up for ourselves and keep, creating leaders. I think that would be the next step as women leaders, is not only focus on our growth, but also being mentors to future leaders, so we can continue this conversation. And hopefully in the future, we will have women who aren't being questioned about their abilities, and who aren't being questioned about what their role is and what they're supposed to be doing. But I think it's so important, just, we know how we got here, and helping other women as mentors is something that I truly feel very strongly about. So, what do you think, Dr. Alice? I know you've, also been in similar situations. So,
Yeah. And I think I 1,000% agree in the creating community, right? And being the advocate and being that voice, right? And having conversations like this that are transparent and honest, that, like, it's difficult. There's still challenges even in this time that we live in, right? Where more and more women are going into medicine, and more medical students are seeing us as role models, right? And so that's sort of why I led off with saying I invited you, because I see that confidence and that care that you have in your leadership style, and the way that you lead in your department, and how much you have shared values with women like myself, who really, really care about not just our patients and the community that we serve, but in role modeling that to the future of female physicians who are and will always be here, right? And so I really want to thank you for being part of this conversation and for sharing your perspective. I think that what you've shared today is exactly what this series is about, right? That leadership isn't always visible, but it's deeply impactful. And so, to everyone who's watching or listening, we hope this conversation expands how you see leadership, not just in others, but in yourself. And so, this is the other side of leadership. Any more departing words, Dr. Tucker?
no, I am so thankful and grateful for you that you invited me to this. I think this was such an important conversation that we had, and I hope it continues to, create more leaders in the future.
Well, thank you. This was so much fun.
Thank you.